Can you talk about Tolebrutinib's FDA approval process, please? Will the FDA delay cause a delay from the EMA? All right, so let's unpack all of this. Those of you that have been following my channel know that I've been very involved in studying a type of medicine called a BTK inhibitor, or Brutin tyrosine kinase inhibitor. However, Tolebrutinib was also studied in a trial for non-relapsing secondary progressive MS. And in the Hercules trial, the patients that were getting the BTK inhibitor slowed disability of 29% compared to placebo. And that's actually a pretty big deal because we've never been able to do that before in non-relapsing secondary progressive MS. So yay. Now this was so yay, when a manufacturer makes a drug and they finish a phase 3 trial, they present it to the FDA, and the FDA goes through all the data, and then the FDA decides yay or nay whether they'll accept it. And the FDA decided to fast track Tolebrutinib. So they're going to speed it through the process because they identify this massive unmet need in progressive MS, but for Tolebrutinib for SPMS non-relapsing. So the news that came out last week, much to my sadness, was that the FDA has delayed their PDUFA date by 3 months. They kicked the can 3 months down the road, and they're going to give us an answer, but they're going to take 3 more months to do it. So what does that mean? Well, that means that we have to be a little more patient, which is not my strong suit. Does it mean that the FDA is going to say no? No, it doesn't mean that at all. What it means is there's a lot of data and the FDA wants more time to review it. And so the jury's still out. We still don't know whether the FDA will approve Tolebrutinib for non-relapsing secondary progressive MS. So we're going to get an answer from the FDA, but it's going to be a little bit longer. I also want to point out before we move on to a different topic that there's another trial called the Perseus trial. And the Perseus trial is also studying Tolebrutinib, BTK inhibitor, but it's studying it in primary progressive MS. And I have my fingers and my toes crossed that the Perseus trial is going to be a positive trial and that we might see a drug like Tolebrutinib used in both secondary progressive non-relapsing MS and in primary progressive MS. The manufacturer is amassing all the data, and we should get a readout on the Perseus trial the first quarter of next year.